play amongst some of the best players in the country. Obviously representing Capelli, it's an honor. All of the players are really well, so it's a competitive environment, and it's just overall fun to play. It's fun soccer, it's good soccer, so nothing more that you can ask for.
So today we went and we walked around Copenhagen, and it was beautiful. We went to so many little cafes, restaurants, bakeries, and it was so much fun. And we walked around with the whole team, and we really got to know each other there too. I definitely would love to come back here. It's so beautiful.
I mean, they're getting an experience of a lifetime. These kids are never going to forget that they did this trip. So nothing but great thanks to Capelli and all the people who supported this, this whole operation.
Let me tell them one time, I've been on the grind, this my prime. Let me tell them one time, I've been on the grind, and this my prime.
Capelli Sport Plus Cup in Denmark is a great opportunity to show our partners that we support our players on and off the field. Great experience for our players coming here, experiencing the culture of Denmark, high level of competition, but really building relationships and getting a great experience out of this.
Let me tell them one time, I've been on the grind, this my prime. Let me tell them one time, I've been on the grind, and this my prime.
Capelli has been amazing. The communication has been great with parents. It's a chance for the boys to travel just like they would be on a pro team and have that experience with immersion within the team, and having some great practices. The training has been great. The nutrition has been great. It couldn't have been asked for a better sponsor.
Just like to thank Capelli for hosting the Cup and for providing a wonderful experience for the boys. I mean, everything about the trip was fantastic, and we're just proud to be here and proud to be part of the Capelli family.
Let me tell them one time, I've been on the grind, this my prime. Let me tell them one time, I've been on the grind, and this my prime.
My experience was great. The teammates I had, the team coming here was amazing. This team became family in 3 days. It's amazing. This group of boys, what we went through was great. I love this team.
It was the best tournament I ever was. And these two say it all, and yeah.
Alejandro Cosmopoulos. I've been with Capelli Sport for 4 years, and I currently lead the referee division. On behalf of Capelli Sport Plus, we give you a warm welcome to everybody here in person and all those that were patiently waiting online. We were wrapping up a little bit of the things here at the Arizona Athletic Grounds, so once again, I appreciate your patience. Tonight, we will be bringing a special guest with Karen Abt, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself, but please join me giving me a warm welcome to Karen Abt here on stage.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I need that. All right, you good?
It'll attract Alejandro.
I know.
Sorry. Alejandro,
He's
come
stealing my sunshine.
Well,
If
now
you
everyone
steal
can see
my
everybody that's
sunshine.
behind the scenes. Well, say hi, everybody. There you go. Okay, now there you go. Thank you.
All right, my name is Karen, and I want to say a big thanks to Arizona, Todd, and Joel for inviting me to be here tonight. And when I first spoke with them, I said, you know, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, oh, do anything you want. I was like, well, thank you for leaving the floodgates open. And we talked a little bit more about how referees are wanting to hear new things, and they want to know how to become an elite referee and move up the ladder. So I know US Soccer has been coming up with certain PowerPoint presentations that they want to make sure you've seen, and I think you've already seen them. So I went a different direction, and I hope it is beneficial for you. So we'll start here with webinar logistics, just so everyone is on the same page, since we have people both here in the room and online. So we just ask that you stay muted. We will record the presentation up to question and answer. Please use the chat for questions, and then we can come back to those at the end. And we will provide all the materials later if you want to come back and look at these. I also have fantastic notes in here, so you can see those if there's something that you want to refer back to. But starting with attributes of elite referees, I want to take a moment and express a moment of gratitude. So not only do I want to say thanks to Todd and Joel, but I also want to thank Capelli for bringing this event to you. I came up about 15 years ago, and we simply did not have opportunities like this. They didn't bring in people to talk to us. We kind of just went to the field, said a prayer that we'd get better, and moved on to the next week. So if you have an opportunity, I hope that you will thank Capelli for investing in referee program. So many of you know me as Karen Abt. I got married a couple of years ago, so I'm now Karen Coulson, still the same person, clearly. I have retired from the FIFA panel, but I am still very active in soccer. So I work actively for PRO as a VMO, which means I'm both a VAR and a VAR, so you'll see my name on the roster for that. I do have assigned for college as well. If that's something that is of interest to you, I might be able to assist you at some point. I work with Carrie Seitz on the Women's Initiative panel. I am on the Region 4 Advisory panel. I actively officiate on the field only for one thing, and that's for international cerebral palsy soccer. So that's how I am trying to give back to the game at this point in my career. And you will also see me at the fields in a coaching and mentoring capacity. So to get our synapses snapping in our brain, I actually want you to get your phones out, please. Yeah. When was the last time someone told you to get your phone out? Please do so. You can do this online as well. You're going to go to menti.com, menti.com, and you're going to insert this code, 76690957. Oh. Hold on, maybe I should put on the right presentation. All right, so hopefully this is the question you are seeing on your screen, on your phone. Did everyone have time to get onto menti.com? Yes, are we good? All right, So what tournaments are you attending this year? Please put your response in on the box on your phone. I think you have room to put a couple of responses in.
We're going to be about 30 seconds delayed with the people at home. So when you're done here, we're going to sit patiently, but still kind of talk.
And just so everyone is aware, the people who are online are delayed by about 5 seconds in what we're hearing, so we're going to have kind of a little bit of extra pause for them.
Yeah, your cell signals are going to suck here too, by the way.
But look, they're still coming through.
Turn it on.
Beautiful. All right, I'm going to give you about 5 more seconds for those who are online.
Yeah, Karen,
Perfect.
let's go
Okay,
ahead and
so
let's wait like 15, 20 more seconds because it just came up for them.
Oh.
So yeah, just, it's all good.
Okay.
We got lots of thumbs.
Where they need me, I love this one.
Yeah. All right, we can go for it. Let's go.
All right, so as you can see, there's some diversity here. And now I want to go on to our next question. Because we haven't talked about game theory yet, but I'm going to guess you're going to have different reasons that you selected or are wanting to go to those specific events. So now I'm going to ask you to insert what made you choose those tournaments. Your dog, excellent. And as these are coming in, I want you to see the kinds of responses that you're getting on here. You're getting everything from friendships or money. Yeah, we do this for money, but we also do it to get experience, to do higher level games. So we're not always just picking something because it sounds fun, but we have a lot of reasons for them. Now I want to take this in a little bit of different direction. Next question, what's for dinner? Did you get to eat dinner tonight? Did you already have it?
Cookies and chips.
Are you eating the cookies and chips that's provided here? Are you going to grovel for whatever is open when we get done tonight? They haven't fed me yet. Fantastic. I want to be in the home of the person who said whatever my mom makes. I love it. Fish from my wife. Oh, that's so sweet. So here we're starting to see some of our game theories that we probably don't even know are game theories. This is a risk versus reward. You decided you were going to come here, right? Why would you have come? I hope you want to learn something, right? So you risk possibly not having dinner tonight to be here. So I just want to get our thinking caps going. Last question for you here. When taking a penalty kick as a player, what direction do you choose? Are you always going to kick the same way? Are you going to change it up? Have you seen this goalkeeper before? Have you taken kicks from the mark with them before? And are you going to do the same thing with a goalkeeper you have not seen? All right, so now we're going to get into the game theory part. I would like to ask for 2 of our people in the room to volunteer. Okay, I just want to pause for a moment for those who are not in the room and cannot see. I got 1 volunteer. Now, what if I offered you $100 to come up? Yeah, So I'm proving already that if you have incentives, you're going to behave differently than if you don't, right? So I'm sorry I don't have $100, but I do really, really want 2 volunteers, please. You can be our first. And how about you, please? Okay, so we are going to do a crash course. Do I need to reset this, Joel?
No, I'm just going to take off the tracking and go out.
I'll actually have the 2 of you come up here in the middle, please. We're going to do a crash course in game theory. We have 2 players in this game. You either cooperate or you defect, okay? If both of you cooperate, you get 3 points. If one of you cooperates and one defects, then it's 5 points to the defector. And if you both defect, you both get 1 point. Okay? So the idea is to maximize your points, but you also need to be strategic. So I'm going to ask for the 2 of you to put your backs together. You can put a little space if you like. I just want you to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Okay, so we have 2 cooperators. Fantastic. Now, if they play the same game again, do you think you're going to get the same outcome? If you know you're only playing this other team once, are you going to do the same thing as if you have to play this team 5 times this summer and they broke your leg last time? No, of course not. Okay, so just for kicks and giggles, we're going to do this game 5 times. We've already done it once, and we had 2 cooperators. Can someone keep count for me? Will you keep count for him? And you're going to keep count for her over here? And how many points do they have now? 3 each. All right, game 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 3 points for each, please. Game 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, so we have a defector on the other side. So he gets 5 points, and you don't. All right, game 4. 1, 2, 3. She goes up and he goes down. Okay. All right, final time. 1, 2, 3. 2 ups. Okay. Thank you for being our victims in the game. That's all I need for you right now. Okay, so how many points did he have? 19. He had 19 and she had, okay. So in this game, we knew exactly how many times we were going to play, but do we always know how many times we're going to see a team or a coach? No, we don't. So we might have to be more strategic when we don't know the number of games that's being played. So here I'm going to walk you through some basic game theories, how they apply both to players and their thought process, how they apply to referees, how we can apply them in match situations, and then how we can apply them to our career. So what is game theory? It's about making the best decisions in strategic situations. In soccer, we are always making these decisions, we just don't necessarily know that they are. We need to understand strategies so we can make the best decisions both in the game time situation and in the long term, bigger picture. We need to identify, analyze, and assess what the risks and the payoffs are to us. So why do you want to learn game theory? To be more consistent and make smarter and better decisions. This goes both on and off the field. It can help you better predict what players and coaches are going to do. It can enhance fairness by reducing bias. It can lead to better career opportunities. So I'm going to have you go back to menti.com for a second. And I'm hoping that you can answer this question. What decisions do players make during a game? What are they thinking about? What they want to eat after the game? What's for snack at halftime? Taking out the player. That's my kind of person. Can you see these over here? Great. Why is coach yelling? Not getting a red card. Excellent. All right, so we'll leave a couple more seconds for those who are online. But probably the most basic thing that we're going to see is, should I dribble the ball or pass the ball? Or should I shoot? Which leads me perfectly, thank you for leading that discussion, to pass or not to pass. That is the question.
Kristoff into the feet of Martinez, has time.
Our audio's not working, but I don't need the audio, so it simply does not matter, Joel. Beautiful.
They can hear it over.
Okay, so the people at home can hear it. That's awesome.
But that's my fault.
So what do we have here in this video that I just magically paused? Say what? Passed the ball. Okay, so for those at home, he said they passed the ball, or should he pass the ball? So I would then like to ask, who is the player to his left? Who is it? It's Messi. Okay, so if you are the teammate who is in this situation, what do you do? Do you keep the ball or do you pass it? Pass it. What happens if you take on this player? What happens if you run down and score? You get all the glory for yourself, right? But what else could happen? Say what? Yeah, you're selfish because you're not passing the ball. And what do we know that's about the teammate that's to his left? He's decent. I love it. He's one of the greatest players, right? It's frickin' Messi. All right, so let's let this keep on playing.
Into Messi, advantage play. Messi driving forward. Messi from distance. What can he now do? We are watching greatness.
After the ball hits the back of the net, how good is this? Turn, find space, now play forward. But someone from Philadelphia, you've got to stop Lionel Messi. From 30 yards in, all he needs is a gap, a half a yard, and you're going to be picking the ball out of the back of the net. My word, what a start for Lionel Messi.
Okay, so we can agree that is a beautiful goal, right? And did we also notice the other amazing thing?
Miami, here in Philadelphia.
Did we also notice the other amazing thing that happened in that video? Can you say that again? Advantage. There was a beautiful advantage by the referee. But for right now, we're working on the player's mentality. So this player had to choose between keeping the ball and passing to Messi. Did his decision pay off? Absolutely. All right, so let's try this again in the thought process of our players. And if I could get this to work, it would be fantastic. So what is another item or another thing that players have to decide? What's another basic decision strategy for a player? Yes. Positioning for a player, okay. What's the one that we talked about in our starting questions? We talked about dinner. Say what? Shooting. Taking of the penalty kicks. How are we deciding which way we're going to go?
Best way to take a penalty? Well, it depends on the taker, the goalkeeper, and perhaps the situation. But what does the data say? Well, between the start of the 2017-18 season and 2022, the most commonly selected penalty location in the Premier League was low to the left-hand side, with only 19% of those that hit the target aimed at the top half of the goal. Over the same time period, 100% of penalties that targeted the top corners have resulted in goals. Of course, with the caveat of far fewer being aimed at those locations, but it's interesting nonetheless. As is the success rate of penalties aimed high and down the middle of the goal, which was at 90% between 2017 and May 2022. Now, part of the reason being that on average, goalkeepers are far more likely to dive to one side than to stay still when facing a penalty.
Okay, so now that you've seen the analytics behind it, might you change what you're doing? You know where people are being successful. Food for thought. So if we go back to the application of our game theory model, taking of a penalty kicks is one player versus one player, the same as our two volunteers when we started. And this is kind of what we talked about when we were doing our brain warm-up questions. What is the best strategy? Are you always going to do the same thing? Did you do something different when he defected, or did you continue to cooperate? Yes, she continued to cooperate. And what did he do the next time? He defected twice, and then he decided to cooperate. So what might you have been able to do differently so that you could have gotten more points?
Deflect.
Can you say that again?
Deflect for sure. Deflect.
Defect? Exactly. So if you have a player who's not cooperating with you, on the field, are you going to continue to give them more rope? No. Yeah, so you might think of this next time someone's not being nice on the field, yeah? Yeah, perfect. All right, so what's the best strategy on the penalty kicks? Shooters are going to try and be unpredictable, and goalkeepers study patterns. But what if there's no patterns to judge from? What kind of theory do we do then? Jump and pray, I think. So here are some of the overarching concepts for our players in game theory. For penalty kicks, we have the shooter versus the goalkeeper. Here we have unpredictability strategy. The kickers are going to be most successful when they're not predictable in their actions. Another concept for the game theory is the risk and reward strategy. So this is like pressing or holding. When do we usually press? With our playing hats on. When are you going to press? When you're losing. Yeah, why do you want to do that?
You're trying to get an easy break and take back the ball in the attack.
Exactly. Yes. So you want to force the turnover and increase the likelihood of scoring. Perfect. All right, offside trap. Why would we want to implement an offside trap? With the hat on of a player. Thinking as a player. To get a free kick. To get a free kick, and what's?
Like the same thing, just get the ball back?
Yeah, to get the ball back. Perfect. Now what do you have to do as players
Read the play?
to make it successful?
Yeah, read the play, talk about it?
Yes, talk about it as teammates, right? So you have to work together. So in game theory, this would be strategic commitment strategy. You have to do it together as teammates, right? Perfect. All right, so now if we think to our messy video, we have dribbling versus shooting. Are you going to be the selfish forward to go and get all the glory by yourself, or are you going to give the ball to Messi? Players' reactions are about managing conflict and gaining trust. This needs to be collaborative, and we'll talk about this more when we get to the refereeing side of game theory. But players and coaches are going to react strategically to your decisions. So what happens then if the referee is too lenient? Excuse me? Yeah, the players don't trust you, and then what do they do? Yeah, kind of whatever they want, right? They're going to give you a run for their money. What about if you're too strict? They always are just like, oh, okay, this is great.
They might complain, but they'll fall in line probably.
So when you say, hey, if you do that again, I'm going to give you a yellow card, they always just do what you ask them to do, right?
No, I'm thinking more in terms of blowing the whistle for maybe
yes.
fouls, so
fair enough. Yep.
Yeah, not in terms of talking.
Perfect. So my point being that when we are too strict, players are then going to challenge us. Where are our boundaries? Are we really going to call the bluff and give them a caution next time? Yes, yes, we are. So a balanced referee needs to build trust and get better control of the game. So now we're going to go back to Menti.com now that we've talked about some of these theories from a player standpoint. And now I want to put on your refereeing cap, which is why we're here. So what decisions do referees need to think about during the game? They might also be thinking about snack at halftime or dinner. But hopefully they're thinking about other things too. Perfect. So this is just what I want to demonstrate. We have a boat ton of things to think about, right? Do I manage them? Can I talk to them? Or do I need misconduct here? Where do I need to run? Is that dog so or spa? How can I best manage these people? That's some nice loud music next door too. So as referees, it's our job to manage high stakes decisions. In calling foul, we have to decide if we're going to call fouls or if we're going to allow play to continue. This is called the min-max strategy. So let's say we have an orange decision. Who's ever had one of those? Orange. Perfect, like everyone. So, what do? Do you just go red because you're like, sweet, I want to go do paperwork, woohoo! Excuse me? Do you manage the game?
You look at like what is the current temperature of the game? Does the player need the card? Does the game need the card? Does the team need the card?
Right, so he is saying, does the game need the card? Does the team need the card? And what is the temperature of the game? So if we have a high temperature, we're definitely just going to manage him, right? No. Perfect. So in a risk-reward situation, if the temperature of this match is high, is this a good time to take some risks and just keep him around?
Keep the player on the field?
Correct. Yeah, maybe not. Why might we want to keep him?
Very early in the game.
It's early in the game. What if the team is already playing a player short? My point being, though, we still have to think about many things in this situation, right? So this goes back to our min-max strategy and our risk control. We need to avoid risks and maximize our control of the match. So can we be successful by talking to the player? Can it work? And what kinds of things are we going to say? Work with me. I'm sure you've all seen this fantastic Mark Geiger clip. It had to do with interacting with coaches, but it was the same ideas that come out of it. Mark Geiger goes to an angry coach and says, "Coach, I want to keep you here, but I need X, Y, Z from you." Can we do the same thing with players? Do you think they will be more prone to work with you if they hear what they want to hear first? I want to keep you here. Beautiful. So that's an example of a time of the verbiage that we can use to increase the likelihood of maximizing control and lower our likelihood of risks. So now I have a fun little video. I have people in the room smiling.
Hit the maximize button on the first bottom right-hand corner.
And laughing.
blanco ahí. Y es que es así, pero el jugador cree que porque el jugador.
Tranquilo muchachos, tranquilos. No. Esto no puede ser, esto no puede ser. Esto no puede ser, no.
No, encima también el árbitro.
No.
You want to see it again? Okay, they would like to see it one more time. It's a good one.
También blanco ahí. Y es que es así, pero el jugador cree que porque el jugador.
Tranquilo muchachos, tranquilos. No. Esto no puede ser, esto no puede ser. Esto no puede ser,
no. Encima también el árbitro.
No.
Okay, so does anyone know what that video is from? No? No one knows? It is from Peru. And what happened? Oh, hold please. Let me play some beautiful soundtracks on relaxing piano first. Okay, and what else? You think that was a fan? Does anyone else know who that was? Yeah, that was a coach. Do you have something? No? Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you have this happen in the game, I of course added this for a little humor, but it's also good for discussion. What are your options as a referee in this game? Yes, we can certainly abandon the game. What else can we do? Can you say that louder, please?
Arms stretched out.
He says, arms stretched out, kind of like a stop sign, and to create space, right? What else can we do?
Coming into the field, so I should automatically have a red card between, like, the distance that he has, so that he de-escalates.
Yes, so for those of you at home who can't hear what she said, if I see someone running at me from that far away, I already got my red card out and ready to go, which I think is a fantastic idea.
If you can think that fast.
Right? Yeah, what is going on and why is this guy running at me from the technical areas? So what about the next time that the referee is a coach assigned to this coach's game? The players are going to what? They'll take out the referee. It's plausible. Yeah. What else? More of the same? Yeah, he says attach a red card to the back of our hand. That's fantastic.
You fire the assigner.
Oh, Joel says fire the assigner. We have all kinds of fantastic ideas. So the likelihood of us seeing something like this is not high, but the point remains the same, that we constantly need to be thinking about our options and the outcomes, risk and reward. What do we get in this situation by sending the coach? Is there any benefit to keep him? No, he must go. And quite frankly, I don't think that they ended up completing this match, did they? I think they ended up abandoning the match. But that's neither here nor there. Also, I'll leave a little 2-second reminder for everyone that US Soccer has recently implemented the referee abuse policy. Although the abuse might have gone the other way here, we'll just leave that there. Okay, so we can not only use this game theory for on-the-field purposes, but we can also use it off the field. So every decision impacts your reputation as a referee. What kinds of things are we talking about? Yeah?
Whether to give that red in that orange situation.
Right. Are you going to give a red when you're sitting on an orange card decision? Or are you going to be Maximus the Merciful? What other kind of decisions impact your reputation as a referee? Right, so are you getting your match critical incidents correct or not? How is your decision making? What about things that might be off the field but can also impact your career? Yes, how you communicate with coaches. How about how you're communicating with your assigners? What kinds of things can we do with our assigners that would positively impact how they perceive you? Yep. Be professional. Dress professionally. Show up on time. Please pull up your socks. Right? What about mentors or assessors? What can we do positively in our interactions with them? Yes? Take their advice, implement it, at least give it a try. Okay, now on the flip side of this coin, what could we do that would negatively impact our opportunities with our assigners? Yeah? Excuse me? Yeah, declining games day of. Do you think you're going to be making friends? Not so much. If you know you can't do a game, for the love of God, please just decline them. But my point being here, there are things that we're doing on the field that do make me think Joel is an amazing referee, but then when he turns around, sits on assignments, not accepted, not declined, shows up 5 minutes before game time, is a jerk to the coaches.
Nailed it.
And then couldn't referee if his life depended on it. Do you think I want to keep using Joel?
Man, you guys know Karen is an assigner too, right?
Joel so kindly pointed out that I assign as well, so thanks. Yeah. So I want you to think of these things not only about what we're doing on the field, because I want to assure you that the things that you're doing off of the field play equally or a larger role than what you're doing when you're on the field. I can get a lot of good people who can make good decisions on a field, but I need the whole package. So along with this package comes networking with mentors and referees and coaches strategically. Why would we want to network with coaches? I always admittedly say I am not in the friend-making business. I am not. When I say strategically network with the coach, does that mean I go and give him a hug? No, what are we talking about?
So there's a good bond between you and the coach, and it's not just like, oh, she's being rude to me, or she's willing to work with me since the beginning.
Right, so she says you need to take an opportunity to have a positive interaction with the coach before the game so that the game can go well. Does that sound like something that might work in your favor? Absolutely. Why else would we want to work with coaches? Yep.
Guys, hold on. We're going to have a mic coming to you guys so that people at home can hear you guys.
Thanks.
When the coach likes you, usually the players have a little more leniency as well.
Of course. So do we ever see negativity that may just go from a coach and feed down through the team? So if we can build a great rapport with the coach before the game, might that help what happens on the field as well? Exactly. So please, use those 2 seconds. I don't care if you're going over to be like, hi, sir. Oh, thanks for ordering good weather today. If cracking a joke is your thing, that's perfect. You can ask vague statements about how their year is going, just something to get them talking and knowing that you are a human being. So part of this use of game theory, we need to learn when to be firm and when to manage the game diplomatically. We've talked through this a bit with our discussions about orangey cards. This can also go into other discussions about like what is PI or PO. Is that defined in the laws of the game? He says PO is loosely defined in the laws of the game. Perfect. What does it loosely say in the laws of the game about persistent offenses? Correct. So it doesn't always have to be against one person. It can be against one person the other way. It could be 3 times, it could be 5. But these are times that we can work strategically with players to manage the game, assess our risks for the best outcome. But your higher level opportunities in officiating are going to come from consistent and smart officiating. And I want to say officiating broadly again. This is not just your performance on the field, but it's also your networking, your behaviors in the tent, your interactions with mentors, assessors, and other teammates. So I'm going to go back to our game theory model. I have to say, we did a 5-game trial, and I failed to demonstrate what I was trying to. So I'm sorry. But what they actually found when they conducted this massive study, they had 62 teams the first time. And everyone had different strategies. And some people had strategies that focused on being cooperators. So we'll call those the thumbs up people. Other people had strategies that focused on being the defectors, who are thumbs downers. And what they found, after crunching all the numbers of the 62 teams, is that the 8 teams that were most successful in this tournament were all people who were cooperative. So you lucked out. But they say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, right? Yeah, so it worked out for you today. Perfect. All right, then they go back, they report their findings to everyone. They release the analytics to people and they say, hey, we just want to let you know, those who are cooperative with others were the top 8 performers in our last tournament, but please develop your new strategy. So people came back to this tournament with their new strategies. It's going to look like this gobbledygook. On one side we had Team Mean, and on the other side we had Team Nice. And I first want to show you what the worst strategies were. These are the bottom, 15 performers of their game theory tournaments. And the ones who were the defectors, our thumbs downers, were the worst performers yet again. And those who were most successful were thumbs up cooperators. So that was you. And I don't know if you can see the tiny font at the top, but the #1 performing team was called Tit for Tat. So you were on the right path in being a cooperator with our thumbs up, but what you needed to do is when he defected the first time, you needed to show him, okay, you're gonna play mean? I'm gonna play mean too. Just for 1 game. And then he would have been like, ooh. And he would have come back and cooperated again. So how can we apply this to our refereeing? Yeah. So if we cooperate with others, in return they're gonna cooperate with us. And sometimes things are going to go poorly. That's not going to turn us down a dark path. So we need to show them that we recognize what they did. They defected. They fouled. They did something that we don't want them to do. We're going to initiate a small amount of forgiveness and then we're going to continue to cooperate. Does this sound like something that you can implement in your management of teams? Yeah. Perfect. So the big takeaway, honestly, from this is be nice. Be cooperative. Doesn't that sound silly? But honestly, when Todd and Joel gave me the opportunity to talk about whatever I wanted, and I called my Rasputin and said, okay, well, what are we going to talk about? I said, I want them to know that I don't just want good referees, I want good people. So when I ask of things of you, I want you to be an awesome referee, but I want you to be a good human being first. Because it will carry back to get everyone else to cooperate and behave nicely with you too. 2, be forgiving. So that's the part of our cooperative strategy that was missing in our 5-game test. We need to be forgiving. When we have players, sometimes we'll see a challenge early on and we're like, ooh, we didn't like that. But we can have a little chat, right? I'll let you go this time, but I just can't have those kind of challenges today. If you've identified and marked with that player that that's not acceptable for the day, do you think they might be more likely to respond in cleaning up their act? Perfect. All right, so we're gonna be nice, we're gonna make decisions, and we're gonna be a little forgiving. On the other end of the spectrum, we don't wanna be a pushover. So what are we talking about then? What if, let's just say, that our nice player in our example had turned around and just kept giving a thumbs up and then he kept defecting? What would have happened? He would have just kept collecting the 5 points and she would have gotten 0, right? Same thing in our games. We cannot have the players walking on us. We see it the first time and we're like, ooh. That's when we need to let them know, I can defect too, right? And then once he turns around, we can both cooperate again, right? Perfect. So be clear with your communication and your expectations. So I didn't give you a ton of information going into this, right? I just said, hey, here's how many points you get if you win or you lose. But what happens when we actually know the laws of the game? We know the laws of the game. We probably know the teams and the players. We've probably seen them a lot of times before, and we will probably see them a lot of times again. So does playing and interacting cooperatively lead in our favor if we know we're going to see them again, probably the next game at this tournament, on another field with a different age group? Yes. So again, be nice, be forgiving, but don't be a pushover. Set clear boundaries and follow through with them. So here I've put together a nice summary of how we can use this. PvE is person versus everyone. So this is kind of like the referees versus all the teams. So to summarize, our different categories. We have our coaches, and I have tit for tat there. They do something wrong, I'm going to let them know they're in the wrong, and I'm giving them a 10% forgiveness. So every once in a while, we can let them do what they're going to do, but we're also going to set boundaries. With our players, we're going to use the collaborative strategy. We need them and they need us if they would like to stay on the field. I also want you to give them a 10% forgiveness level. With other referees, I want you to have some strategic commitment and also a 10% forgiveness strategy. With your assigners, conflict management, please. These are your supervisors, your bosses, and the people who are enabling you to have opportunities. So we don't want issues. We're always going to try and cooperate, and we need to have some forgiveness. I am sad to admit, I am a human being too, and I make errors. So if you see weird things in your assignments, It's not a problem to turn around to your assigner and be like, did you really mean to do this? That's okay. But we do it in a collaborative way. And finally, our last stakeholder in soccer is our evaluators. Who are our evaluators? Mentors, assessors. They take care of themselves and you have to forgive them all the time. I say that in a loving, caring way. But in all sincerity, it's kind of a time where you need to listen, nod and smile, write it down in your book, test it out. If it works for you, that's awesome. And if it doesn't, dump it and move on. Sorry, forgot one more. Spectators, no strategy works for them, and they get 0% forgiveness or no Fs. I just couldn't keep myself from. So what does this all mean for us? I need you to be nice. I need you to be a good person. I need you to be to communicate well. I need you to set boundaries, and I need you to not be a doormat. So Todd also mentioned a lot of these people have aspirations to move up the ladder and they want to know how to do it. So some of you in the room are familiar with the process to become a national referee. You move up the ladder, blah, 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 you have to put in a packet, and sometimes you get a Dear John letter. So US Soccer this last year came up with a letter about what they were going to send to officials who were not going to be invited on as a national referee. And I got this letter, and I want to share it with you. And there's a lot of gobbledygook in here, but I want you to see the bottom of this one. It says the qualities that they want from you. The number one thing that they mention starts with off field. So again, they can find 1 million people who can call fouls, but off the field, they want a team player, someone who's supportive, ethical, successful, humble, doesn't talk about other people. So in our careers, our professional career, if we look at our officiating as a career, these are the attributes that US Soccer is looking for. And obviously I can share this with you because I think it's important for everyone to see it. And I understand that the text on here is not particularly easy to read. But the point being that our takeaways from game theory are the same things that US Soccer is seeking in the highest level officials. So if we put that all together, we have game theory that can help you anticipate and adapt. You can make more strategic decisions, both on and off the field, being professional, communicating and interacting with others. And you can make smart career moves that can lead to higher level opportunities and higher level games. Does that make sense? Hopefully, something came out of that. It says it's green.
It should be blue. There it goes.
Oh, there's the blue. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for me about that?
Lots of questions, guys. Now's your chance. And Alex is going to come around with the microphone for you guys so you can all hear you and they can hear you at home too, please. So please, ask away, guys.
It's a little different presentation than just analyzing videos, isn't it? Just kind of gets the thinkers thinking.
What was your favorite experience on the FIFA panel?
My favorite experience on the FIFA panel. It's a fantastic question. There are a lot of them. And Ashton, I think you know many of the more memorable ones, getting chased out of certain countries and things of that nature. But honestly, the most memorable moment for me was my final match was Carly Lloyd's retirement match as well. My whole family flew into Minnesota, and so that was just really cool to have everyone together. But I have traveled some really amazing places. made fantastic friends around the world, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. So it's been amazing. Yeah. Yes, sir?
We got one right here.
Yep.
Okay, did you ever have a bad game? And if you had a bad game, what was your strategy to come back from that?
Yeah, of course. Yes, I had a million bad games. You wouldn't have to look too hard to find videos of me making astronomical mistakes, pictures of being in the wrong position, getting hit by the ball. Yeah, they're everywhere. Please don't go Google me. Well, I always had a 24-hour sulking period, and the rule was I could go and pout for one night, but then after that I had to move forward and learn. So I think that was the number one thing for me. I did find, though, that I always learned more from the games when I made astronomical mistakes. And one of the things that sets you apart in being a successful referee is your ability to implement the learning points from those really bad games so that you don't make the same mistakes again. Yeah, of course.
There's a comment on asking, what advice do you have? Golly, I've got feedback, sorry. What advice do you have giving young referee teens who wish to climb the officiating ladder?
I think particularly when you're young, it's most important to have fun, honestly. I am honestly a little more leery to mentor and work with teens, and it's not because I don't want to see you thrive, but it's because I want you to love the game. And so I want you to enjoy the game, and oftentimes you're still playing at this point. And I assure you that if you are still playing, that the experience that you are gathering as a player is going to help you tenfold at some point when you step off the field from being a player and decide that you want to stay in the game as a referee. So please play as long as you want or can, or enjoy it, and enjoy the game. Because once you lose that joy or get frustrated, it's a lot harder to keep you on board. And the cool thing about soccer is it's always there. I know that I actually quit officiating when I was a teenager because of abuse. And I ended up coming back, and quite frankly, I don't know what divine inspiration got me back, but it worked out okay for me. But the cool thing is that the soccer community is always still there. Yes, sir?
I got a question for you. What was the most challenging game that you do on your career?
I don't know, but honestly, the first thing that's coming to my mind at this moment was actually a fourth official, and it was for Mexico men versus Icelandic men. This was 2 World Cup cycles ago. So this was a, whatever they call their games when they're preparing for the World Cup. So I had all of their national team players, and this was before we had the presence of a lot of female officials working professional and international men's matches. And so I had both benches kind of chirping at me the whole game, like, WTF are you doing here? And so they gave me a run for my money, but I set boundaries, just kind of like we talked about here, and it worked really well. We ended up having a fight on the touchline, not far from me. And somewhere, if you go Googling around, you'll find me standing between 2 players like this that are obviously much taller than me. And then it was really bizarre after the game. I think we had something like 70,000 spectators in the stadium. It was amazing, mostly from Mexico. And after the game, for a couple of weeks, I ended up getting phone calls from media sources all over the world going, who are you and why are you officiating this men's game? But something like that, it was challenging to be the first to do something and to be really at a level that I just hadn't experienced before. Yeah.
Hey Karen, thank you so much for the presentation.
Of course.
I think my question to you is now, how do you like to prepare for a game, and how do you like to cool off and prepare for the next game at the exact same time. Does that make sense?
Okay, so when you're talking about match preparation, are you talking about like physiologically, what am I doing, or is this like a game day routine?
Both mentally and physically.
Okay, so there's a pretty consistent physiological routine on M-1, so match day -1. And to be clear, at the professional and international level, you're typically doing 1 or 2 games maximum per week. So your training schedule is very tailored around your match days. So on match day -1, you're really doing muscle activation. So this is not going to be more than approximately 30 minutes long. It's just kind of a jog to get your muscles moving. It's doing a lot of plyometrics, those kinds of things. A lot of stretching, and then it's going to be like some repeat sprints. So if you were on a field, for example, you would start on one touch line, you're gonna slow jog up to one side of the center circle, you're gonna do a burst through the center circle, and then you're gonna decelerate on the other side of the center circle. And you're gonna do 6 to 10 repetitions of that. So you should really finish those 30 minutes feeling like relaxed and ready to go. And you should feel almost overly rested by the time your game day comes up. In terms of match day preparation mentally, everyone has their own thing, so I'm sure if you talk to different referees, they're all gonna have something different. But one of the big things once you are doing higher level games is having your game day routine, and this is usually about the amount of sleep you're getting. So how many hours of sleep do you wanna sleep the night before? How many naps do you want on game days? You usually know what you want to eat for breakfast. You usually know what time you want to meet with your crew to pregame. You know what music you want to put on in the car, just like when you played probably, right? Yeah, this is my game day, right? Yeah, same thing. You get to the stadium, you have your game mix, and you're ready to go. But I think before the game, especially in the time when probably before or after a nap on match day, it's just about focusing, doing homework on teams, personnel that they have, and pre-gaming with your own team to make sure everyone's on the same page and prepared to go. And recovery, sorry, she asked about recovery as well. Even on match day, it's always been really important for me anyway, because I'm not a spring chicken any longer, to do a nice cool down after games. So even though your muscles are tired and you don't really want to walk anymore, a lot of times we even take off our shoes and socks because it feels really good for our feet to be on the grass. And so you're gonna do basically a reverse warm-up. So you're gonna kind of start with a slow cadence jog, go through the plyometrics again, and then just back to stretching just to get your muscles kind of settled again. Yeah.
Ripley has asked, what advice do you have for young referees who are nervous about the jump from AR to center referee?
Yeah, it's hard. It's scary, isn't it? But I assure you that any mistake you're gonna make, I have made, and everyone else has made too. And so I think the big thing that everyone needs to remember, and this is players, coaches, is that we're all people. We're gonna make mistakes, but we're gonna learn from them. And I am hopeful that you are in an environment where you're being set up for success. So I'm hopeful that you have people that you can work with that maybe can come to the game and watch you and help you, or who are on your touch line as assistant referees that can provide guidance for you. But honestly, you just have to kind of jump into the pool a little bit and see how it goes. And honestly, some people don't like being in the middle. And if you don't like being in the middle, do not let them force you to do that. Own what you love to do. You have to do this because you love to, because there are some negative parts with our fantastic spectators.
Got one more question here.
Yeah, go for it.
Good evening, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Can you give us a brief idea what your pregame would be to assistant referees or the fourth official when you were a center?
Yes. So he asks about pregame, and anyone who's worked with me on the panel is probably dying laughing if they're listening, because I had a pregame that was about 10 pages printed out, front and back, and I carried it with me. It's still in my ref kit now. So pregame for us was usually like lunch, like 2 hours. And even some of the most basic things I talked about every time, even though I'd worked with these people 200 times. I wanted to be crystal clear we're on the same page. I mean, but we would talk about everything from what we talked about with players on the other team, the weather for the day. If it's rainy, what kind of challenges do we expect? Might they be taking some risky sliding challenges? So we're talking about the weather conditions. The grass is long, so the ball's not going to roll as well. So those are bigger picture things, but then it's just more specific about when I want help from them and how I want them to help. And one thing that I learned is that it's really important that I empower my team by using positive verbiage. So instead of saying, hey, I don't want you to put up your flag if I'm right there. Instead, I would say something like, I would love to have your help with fouls, but please take a look up real quick and see what my proximity and angle of view is. So those are the kinds of things I would talk about. When do I want their foul assistance? What are areas of control? When do I want my assistant referees calling goal kick, corner kick decisions, and when am I going to own them myself? And then just basic things like, how am I going to show you which direction I want to go? So for me, I was always pointing. I'd already made up my mind about which direction I wanted the throw to go. And it's not because I'm not a team player, but I want us to be quick and efficient in our decision making. So I'm doing this or this. Or if I'm walking this way down the field, I'm going to start pointing this way. These are the things I'm telling my teammates. How I'm going to be making decisions. Then I'm going to say something like, hey, I need you to own the 10 yards in front of you on the goal line, please. So if you have the ball go out there, please quickly make a decision and I'll mirror you. So there I'm again empowering them to assist and make decisions. And I'm telling them where on the field I want them to do it. Another time I would empower them, hey, if we have a penalty area decision and it's close to the top of the 18, let's make eye contact first before we do anything. If you have it coming out, please walk up the field. And if you have a penalty, please turn and walk the other way. So we already had subtle signals worked out as a crew, just preemptively and in preparation for match decisions. Does that help? Yes, thank you. I mean, and honestly, my pregame is somewhat out of date now because of just changes in the laws of the game in the last handful of years. But I would be happy to share that if that's something that you're interested in. You'd have to go through and look yourself, but yeah. I've got like a full page. Yep, so you're well on your way. Yeah. Any other questions?
All right, everybody, thank you again for being here. And on behalf of Capelli Sport Plus, please join your hands in giving her a warm round of applause, Karen. Thank you again. Thank you so much. And you can, everybody online, thanks for tuning in. You can subscribe to the channel for any further educational courses on referees. But that's all for tonight. Thank you.